Hi, I'm Stephanie Wanchala, and welcome to Alaska Filmmakers, a series dedicated to highlighting the many talented individuals working in the Alaska film community. In today's episode, Alaska Filmmakers met with the owner and operator of AK Grip and Lighting, Greg Kern. AKF's Joshua Lohman has more.
Well, Greg, what started you in production?
What started me in production?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I was working, I was going to school at APU, Alaska Pacific University, and I was actually working in their theater, which is another story in itself because theater was not my major. It was just a cool place to hang out. And Bill Holden came in to shoot a commercial, and I just basically bugged the tar out of his key grip, Rob Keelan. I shadowed him the whole day they were there. I helped him coil cables, helped him pack shot bags, and just bugged the tar out of them. And 3 days later they called me, hey, we got a commercial, you want to come play? And by that time I was hooked. You know, it took the one job, and I knew that was what I needed to do. So, and that was pretty near 20 years ago, and you know, it's kind of downhill ever since. So,
What drew you to the grip department?
look at me. I've been a mule all my life, and the grip and electric department is the backbone of production. You know, we get to go, we get to do the fun stuff. You know, rigging odd things in odd places and making safe. It was a natural fit for me. You know, I'm not the intellectual type. I'm not a writer, not very articulate. I'm pretty much a grunt, and I'm good at it, so it works.
What all does a grip do outside of the grunting?
Outside of the grunting and eating donuts, like I said, grip is the backbone, it's the muscle. And for the most part, it's educated muscle. Doing things efficiently, doing things smart, and doing things safe. They really move a production along as far as the heavy lifting aspect of things, and keeping crew and cast safe and getting the shots. And we get to go into some beautiful country. So it's definitely, basically it's the muscle, educated muscle.
Did you ever go to any additional schooling for it, or was it all on the job training?
No, it's all OJT. I mean, back 20 years ago when I was getting started in production, Alaska typically got snow first and had snow the longest. So we were a natural hub for a lot of national commercials. So we got a lot of high dollar commercials in fast and hard. And when these people come, they bring up the keys, and if you're going to travel a key grip to Alaska or a gaffer to Alaska, you're going to travel A-list people, and I've got to work and work under some of the best in the business. And it was nice because there was a fairly consistent amount of work. Granted, we haven't had, you know, all the toys that they've got in Los Angeles, but we had a decent amount in the start, and when I saw that there was not going to be any push to keep growing the infrastructure and getting more toys and more tools to work with, that's kind of when I decided that I was going to go down and start AK Grip and Lighting. And basically I begged, borrowed, and stole every nickel I could get my hands on, and then bought a one-way ticket to Los Angeles and got a hick from the sticks down in the big city, not knowing how he's going to get back. So it's, you know, it's kind of one of those things, you got to do it, you got to make it happen. So with you know, a little bit of tenacity and a little bit of grit, I drove a 3-ton grip truck to Alaska in January over the Alcan Highway, 60 below, which was poor California truck didn't know what it had. But it was fun. And by that spring, that truck had gone from Los Angeles to Prudhoe Bay and back. So it's kind of been working ever since.
Oh wow! So what was the when did you get the transition point to go from just working to start running the grip house?
I'm a gear hound. There wasn't enough toys to play with. I mean, tools to play with. So from my aspect, it was, you know, I wanted more. And at the same time, in order to make a living in this industry in Alaska, there had to be a sideline. You had to have a niche somewhere else and do something else in addition to the production work in order to make ends meet. You know, I've got a wife and 4 kids, so for me, it was I have to keep working and keep busy even in between productions. So for me, my sideline was the equipment. You know, some people have wives at work, some people had other jobs that they did, working construction or fishing or whatever, that afforded them the ability to come and do productions on their off time. But I wanted this to be my livelihood, and after about 10 years I could actually call it a career. So, but that's why I had the push to get the equipment so that, you know, it wasn't just a day rate, it was a day rate plus, and it was justification for buying some cool stuff, you know. So, and even to this day, I think, you know, my wife and my kids have come out on the short end of the stick because I'll buy tools before I buy toys every time. So I don't have snow machines. I have shot maker type apparatuses that I work with. You know, I have 6-wheelers that I, you know, put cameras on. You know, I don't have stuff to go rip and snort in the mountains. So it's just kind of how it is.
So have you always lived in Alaska?
Pert near 40 some years now. So yeah, I was born outside, but we came up when I was young, and I've been here ever since. So, you know, not that I couldn't have made a transition to Los Angeles and bigger markets. You know, I'm in love with Alaska still to this day. You know, 40 below, which I just came from in Delta, to, you know, blizzards and wind-blown snow. I'd rather be here than, you know, down there with the fuss and the muss and all the people. So I'm pretty at home right here in Alaska.
With all the productions that are coming up, do you prefer working with the union jobs or the indie jobs?
I prefer working. It doesn't really matter to me, union jobs or non-union jobs. I like working on productions, big ones, small ones. You know, it doesn't really matter to me. All productions have, you know, challenges and stuff that really, you know, further, you know, it really feeds the creativity side of things. And as much as I'm a knuckle dragger, I still have a creative side to me, as far as, you know, making somebody look beautiful or making a shot, you know, spot on. I mean, you know, second only to, you know, some of the DPs that I've worked with, as far as, you know, attention to details and really wanting to produce the best product you can for the time allotted you, you know. And that's and big ones and small ones, it doesn't really matter. They all have, you know, fun aspects. And the reality is, if you can't learn something new every day and you can't make it fun every day, then what's the point? You might as well shoot yourself. You know, I mean, that's as far as I'm concerned, and I do. Even to this day, you know, I try to learn something new every day, and I try to have fun every day, even on the most miserable day in existence. You know, try to have some kind of fun with it, because the reality is, you know, I could be going to a bank and working a 9 to 5. That just doesn't work for me. So I'm sorry, it's just how it is. I'd rather work 20 hours and be absolutely miserable and soaking wet and freezing cold, and I'd rather do that.
You'd mentioned gaffers, grips, key grips. What's the difference between those?
What's the difference between those? Key grip is the lead in the department, the grip department. Gaffer is the lead in the electrics department. Grips and gaffers are the terms that easiestly bantered about, but the reality is the gaffer is not representative of the whole department. He is the key or the lead person in the department. And actually, he is a lot of times, depending on the size and scope of the project, he's basically the guy in charge, and then underneath him are the key grip and the rest of the crew. And it's basically a hierarchy, much like the military structure as far as having people to get the jobs done. The key grip and the gaffer work closely with the DP as far as the movement of lights and the movement of equipment to support the camera and to support the lighting setups. Because the grips are the ones that are putting the stuff in front of the lights, the 12 by frames or 20 by frames and whatnot. And the electricians, the juicers, lamp operators, these guys are the ones that are moving the lights around and bringing power to them. And the gaffer is the one who's in charge of that. But a lot of times that gaffer and the director of photography, it's that relationship that's key, because they are looking for the nuances and the texture and the flavor of the lighting and how that, you know, the lighting interacts with the camera and the lenses for the scenes that they're looking at and trying to accomplish. So the gaffer's head chief in charge, so, of the monkeys below the line.
What kind of productions, when you first started out, were you working on mostly?
Commercials. Lion's share of the production work in the early years was commercials, and to tell you the truth, the bread and the butter is still commercial work. With the inception of the film incentive program, we've seen a lot of things change, and we've seen longer format come and be competitive as far as number of days and size of budgets for some of these commercials. But you know, all during the early years, it was commercial work, some second unit stuff here and there, on small, bigger features, and not well, a little bit on the documentary side as well. But really, what can afford and what needs the backbone or the muscle were the commercial projects. And you know, it's not to say that, you know, electric and grip department are the only departments I've ever worked. You know, I've done my time. I was, you know, set PA, scrambling and sliding underneath helicopters on North. You know, one of my first jobs ever in a helicopter. You know, I've set up a paint booth 20 miles by snow machine off the road system and painted the front clip of a car to match so we could do inserts and reversals as part of the art department. You know, I've been out there in front of a airboat at 25 below, blowing snow in front of a 60-mile-an-hour prop wash, you know, to get job, you know, to get the effects and get the job. So effects, you know, I've run the gamut on departments, with the exception of hair and makeup, because nobody wants me that close to their face. So, but anyway, you know, for the most part, it's doing whatever it takes to get the job done, and that's where Alaskans tend to you know, have a lot of tenacity, and especially the young filmmakers have a lot of tenacity in wearing multiple hats.
So what kind of jobs are you doing now?
Whatever comes through the door, basically. I mean, like I said, you know, we've seen with the incentive programs, we've seen more long format projects come in, documentaries and feature films, from micro budgets to, you know, Hollywood budgets, and I've worked on them all, and I continue to work on, you know, anything that'll come through the door. As long as they'll let me on set, I'll be there.
The large productions are getting a lot of the press, but are there still a lot of commercial jobs coming up here?
There are. I don't think we see the numbers of the national commercials that we used to, but I mean, we still do see them from time to time. Chevy trucks, Audi, car commercials, stuff like that. We still see those come through, just not in the numbers that we usually do. I'm not certain that part of that's not the overexposure that Alaska's gotten from the reality TV side of things, whereas, you know, everybody, you know, with an ENG camera has been scurrying about the state trying to capture film incentive money and shooting whatever it is they could think of. And a lot of times guys that are doing these pitches at, you know, big studios outside can't sell something that's overexposed. They're looking for the new and unique. And, you know, for a while there it was Alaska, not so much now. So,
With that dropping off, are you seeing any increase in local productions?
yeah, I mean, we've got a nice little core crew, not to exclude the fellows here, but to include these guys that are out there. They're out there doing it. They're trying, and I applaud them for it. We are starting to see more along the lines of local stuff getting done. I'm not always a party to it. I'm not that kid in college anymore, so I don't hang around with a lot of these guys anymore. So, and I think some of them might be actually scared to come talk to me as far as coming out and helping on some of these things. Not that I always have time, but you know, if I do, I'm not opposed to that as well. So,
with the time you've been in the industry, have you seen any major changes in the technology on this side? I know on the camera side there's a lot, but I mean, grips is C-stands and lights, and I mean, has there been any real changes there?
Yeah, I mean, with the LED lighting becoming lighter weights and designed to keep up with the ENG, the DSLR cameras, you know, the lighting's had to change as well. Small lights with battery options, and that's something that we're growing into here. On the little bit larger side of things, we just got in a ARRI 1.8 ARRI Max, which is an 1800 watt HMI light that plugs into the wall. So you don't actually have to run generators and powers to get a nice large source. You know, so we have seen some, but the quantum leaps have really been on the camera side of things, and we're trying to follow suit to keep up on the grip and lighting side of things. But you know, the reality is a nice dolly on a smooth piece of track with a good fluid head, and it doesn't matter what camera you put on it, you know, that's still needed to make a nice shot. You know, when you're lighting a big source, cut down and softened nice, you know, that's still optimum. You know, it doesn't matter, you know, what camera you use to capture the image. The nicest light's going to be a big soft source. You know, the nicest move is going to be, you know, the real deal, and you're not going to get away from that. And that's kind of why that's my bread and butter. It's definitely not the cameras. Can't keep up with that. So.
Well, Greg, thanks so much for letting us use your shop today. Is there any advice you have for any filmmakers or anybody coming up?
You know, as far as advice to these young guys is, don't be afraid to pay your dues. You know, I've done my $150 a day, you know, jobs for, you know, one of my first jobs as a grip on a Korean feature was $150 flat, and the first day was literally 72 hours long. So, I mean, you know, I've been there. I'm not just the fat old man in charge now. It's, you know, I've paid my dues, you know, to get these jobs and to keep this and to build this industry as a whole.
That's all the time we have today on Alaska Filmmakers. For more information on Greg and AK Grip and Lighting, you can visit our website at alaskafilmmakers.com. Special thanks to Greg and AK Grip and Lighting for their hospitality, and to all of our sponsors and supporters for helping make this season of AKF possible. Join us next week when we visit with actress Renee Daw. And until then, remember, everyone has a story to tell.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.